Hi, all my beautiful people. I hope you're having a wonderful weekend. It is Saturday, May 30th. Our card of the day, again from the Soleil Mayer Tarot, which it looks like these are back in stock on Etsy, so I will post that link. We have the King of Pentacles. I hope I'm holding it upright because I'm having to record this a second time. And again, I will take pictures and post because I don't have a fancy card holder at this point in time. But our King of Pentacles often is viewed as, I've heard a lot of interesting interpretations. Someone who is, it's often looked at as an older masculine, somebody who has gathered their wealth and learned how to take care of their finances. And that's all good and well, and there's a time and place for that interpretation, I think. I don't often look at the pentacles in terms of financial wealth and financial stability. Certainly if I'm specifically looking at that, yes. But for me, the pentacles are more about general stability. What are we growing? What are we sowing? What are we nurturing? With our king, our kings are very confident. They're very focused. They, I tend to look at all the kings in their, in one iteration of the kings as stability in general. But I think definitely our King of Pentacles is somebody who's very stable. I always, despite with the card images, I always kind of picture somebody standing, in a very earthy scene, in a field, in a forest, around crops, and they're stood very solidly and rooted, like physically rooted into their land. And with the King of Pentacles, this king tends to be a slow, methodical individual, or rather, let's say energy, because I don't always like to look at the cards as like, well, people cards mean people, but because sometimes a lot of times, with tarot, it's something within us. And but this guy here, this fella, women can be kings, men can be kings. My non-binary peeps, you can be kings. So we are not applying genders to this, but they are very methodical. They definitely think things through. They don't, unlike the King of Wands, our King of Pentacles probably is not just immediately taking action. They're really thinking things through. They're very confident, but they also want to make sure that what they are putting into the ground and what they are nurturing is something that is sustainable and something that is ultimately providing them stability, whether that be in a physical or emotional way. So I think the King of Pentacles invites us to look at what are we nurturing in our lives. What are we prioritizing to grow? And are those things that really are going to be sustainable, are really going to be things that uplift us and uplift others? Are they things that just, maybe they're not right for where you're planting it, right? Like maybe, and I'm gonna go with the metaphor, but maybe what we want to plant doesn't work in this soil. Or worse yet, maybe the soil is the problem. Maybe that's not where we want to be, planting our seeds. And you can literally look at this from a actual literal meaning, and you know, because I always like to look at the global and political perspective of tarot, and you know, where are we, you know, what are we prioritizing in the world, and is it causing harm literally to the planet and to us and our bodies, you know, or is it something that is sustaining and nurturing? But when we narrow it down and look into, you know, us individually, you know, it's the same concept applies. You know, are we, you know, I'm thinking of like the image of, actually I think it's on the Nebraska State Capitol, but I'm sure people have seen the image of the person standing with the, it's an old-fashioned image, you know, with what is it? It's like a, they kind of have like, it's almost like a crossbody, but kind of like a sack, I guess. I don't know what you call it. And they're throwing out the birdseed. That image just like came to mind. Like, are we putting effort and energy and time and maybe even money into things that are helping ourselves and helping others, that are helping us and others to grow, that are going to be things that we can sustain? Or are we just kind of throwing things out there and seeing what happens? And sometimes that's a good thing. But I think with the King of Pentacles, we want to be a bit more logical and methodical in our approach. So let me know what you think of the King of Pentacles, and you know, I always love to hear from everybody else. And I hope you continue to have a good weekend. And tomorrow is our second full moon of May, so that's exciting. And just sending all my love and positivity to all my lovely, beautiful